Hi, it's Mary from Lilac Pages on Etsy. Just bringing to you my latest journal. It is a woodland fairy journal. Before I begin, please hit that subscribe button to get notified of any new videos, and hit the like button. Really would appreciate that. This is a monster of a journal. It is a big woodland fairy themed journal. It has approximately 65 pages, 130 pages front to back, if you count it like that. It does have a light feature in it that looks like the house, a big woodland fairy house, kind of paying homage to what I used to do on Etsy, and that was make indoor fairy houses. And this light here just gets tucked up inside of the roof, and it turns on and off like that. And you just put it up there, and it stays fairly well. And then there's a little fairy in here. The doors open somewhat, but not all the way, so whoever gets this, please be careful with that. It has a little medallion here, a little charm there. It is big spine, and it's made out of a vintage book, but I did make the spine. It's 4 signatures, some on the inside, some on the tied on the out. It's got some charms here, a fairy house, a fairy, little acorn, a bunny. I made this tassel with a big boho bead, and it's got a key and little fairy wings and charms all over it, and a little bottle of fairy dust. Okay, this is big. Yeah, nice for display, that's for sure. I just tied little tassels on this. It is adjustable, so if you do add things to it or take things away, you can adjust it just by untying here at the clip. Open up the little rusty clip here, and let's get started. I'm gonna try to do this fairly quickly. I live in woods, and it's a very rural area, so I don't have much luck uploading really long videos. And if I do, it takes just forever. Okay, I lined it here with some fabric. There's some stitching in it just to give it a little bit of vintage feel. I do have a story that goes with it, a few pages long, that will come with this fairy journal. Just kind of explains the story that was going on in my head as I was creating this book, and it's just for fun. And here's a bookmark that I made from some collaging, put a tassel on there, did a lot of sewing. And here's a little booklet with some cute little things in there. I'm really not going to pull everything from the pockets and the little tucks. I just want it to be special for whoever gets it, and little surprises. Here is a little forest thing that I made the letters out of, and that's where this story takes place. It is about 2 explorers, mostly Emily, but it's Roger and Emily. They are a married couple that heard of this forest that glimmered. And here's, I have lots of vintage ephemera in this book, also some reproductions and some handmade things. Before I forget, the spine is backed up by some Tyvek, or I can't think of the word right now, but anyway, it just strengthens it just for some extra stability. And here's a decoupage work for a pocket, a little vintage postcard, a tag, a little slide. Roger here was a little more interested in the plant life and taking samples, and that's what he did. Here is just a little small, teeny tiny miniature little test tubes, and this envelope does open, and it has a little something in there, tags here, little slide, a little flip up here for some notes. Here is, this opens here, lots of little textures on this book page. Here's a pocket with some writing things, another vintage postcard, and here's an area for journal notes. And this is from a very vintage ledger that I just put on here. It has a little tab there, little pocket here, some vintage ephemera here, and that receipt, I believe it is, and that's just one of those plantable flower seeds. That's in the shape of a butterfly. Edith Holden page here with a pocket. It's got some vintage things tucked away here, including another vintage postcard. Emily and Roger received lots of correspondence when it was told of their expedition to this particular forest. And Emily in particular received a little note from her friend Claire about how to call on the fairies. We'll get to that in a minute. Just little tucks here with some stickers that whoever gets this journal can use throughout the journal. Little journal card there, a couple little postcards, reproductions of some vintage. Here's a little pen and a little envelope here. I made this here, little envelope from some handmade paper and a little original seal there and a little glassine bag. And that has a vintage letter in it. It says 1948, I believe. I think it's in French, but I'll let whoever gets that take a closer look. I did some, Emily noticed in the forest, lots of different little archways, and there's a little quote, and I just worked with some different things in this book: pastel, jelly printing, alcohol inks. I did some gelatos and stuff and used. So don't claim to be a professional artist or anything, but I thought it was cute for this journal. And here is one of the centers of the signature, areas for journaling there. And I did some stenciling there with this fabric flip up. Little pocket here, that's some of that alcohol ink displayed around, and I put that in the background, thought it looked really good. Jelly printing page here. This opens up and there's just a little envelope in there and some blank pages to be written in. And here's a pocket with a vintage ledger, some collage work that I did that flips up here. I backed it with some coffee dyed paper, and these little things here just come out on each. This does not flip. This one does flip up. And a little pocket there. Oh, let me stick that back in there. Edith Holden page. Mrs. Cox quotes there. A digital. Little stuff here. Again, some more textures. More collage work for a pocket here. And this little tree charm. Some ephemera back there. Little envelope here, documented, a tag here, a tuck with vintage ledger and some new old computer paper, a little cluster snippet here. It says Magical Forest, and once Emily found a clearing, she opened up the little letter from her friend, and here instructed on how to call upon the fairies with some rose petals, which those are real. And I use the word fairy here with the AI, but also the EA version. I looked it up to make sure that was more of like an archaic version. So I do use both, just so you know. This is some eco-dyed paper that I used and sewn in, made some large pockets, lots of ephemera put in here. And here's a little autograph page. It says to Claire, which I thought was really cute. And some tags with some tassels. And this is just little things that appeared for Emily after she called upon the fairies. And that's little books, little investigate, little bag of coffee, of course. It's kind of difficult to get the things out of here, but it's meant for looks and display, but you can get it out with a little help, maybe some big long tweezers or something. That is a pocket, and it has that in there. A little book quote up alongside here. And then once she did call upon the fairies and find all these things, she gathered them. What was really special was by the river, she heard a splash and she met a sea fairy. And here's just a little magnifying glass that I made, and it's just plastic, and areas to journal here, and used different pieces of sea type things here. I made a little pocket here with a tag and just made her, just real quick, just sculpted her and put some little fairy wings on her. Her arms move a little bit, and it has a little shell there, and her legs move a little bit, but not really made to be played with or anything, just as a display. And she here has a little bottle of shells, and we have a little Dreaming of the Sea charm with a little mermaid charm as well. And then she met the tree fairy. Here's another archway that she went through, which is relevant in this story that's included. Here's a little tree fairy. She does come out, And she's got wire on her, but she lives up in the trees and the branches. And there is just some journaling cards in there. Actually got a dual pocket, so if you wanted to put anything in that front, that would work as well. Here's just some pages, a little night scene with a fairy, a little pocket there with a tag. Little area here for journaling, here and here. And here is a pop-up that I did. Creates two little pockets here, area for journaling here, some alcohol ink tags that I made, and some writing paper there. This does have some dangling things underneath, and it just has a couple of fairies, and I made this tree. Some more of that handmade paper, a bag with two pockets, two journaling cards that are backed. Little envelope I made with a ticket, area for journaling with some really pretty white handmade paper there. And then it was the secret garden that Emily went into next. She took another archway and went through. And when she stepped into the wildflowers there, she met the flower fairy. And here is just some, did lots of different embossing and used a lot of different glimmer mist with some mica powders that I got from Artesia, I believe. And you can definitely see a Creative Cafe girl. It's Susie, and she had a video that I actually loved. And I bought some powders, and I can't stop using them. And there's just a little ephemera there, and that slips into that little handkerchief pocket. I believe I've seen that on the Paper Outpost with Pam. And here's just little bits and pieces about the flower fairy with a charm and a little booklet, little miniature flower. And she has her own little pocket that I did some decoupage. And that is the flower fairy. And she has little flowers all around her. And if you go like this, she can sit up and her dress can come down. But she just goes really well in here, and she's holding just the littlest little rose, a little flower with some glitter on it. There's glimmer mists and bits of glitter throughout, and micas throughout this whole book. And that's just part of the little garden that Emily went to. And here's a little book, A Song of Fairies, with a little poem and a little booklet that I made. Just tied it together just for more space for journaling. Made a little pocket there, a little ephemera, little fairy house charm there. Flip up. Oh, and then after that, another arch Emily walked through, and she saw the snow fairy. This is a snow fairy, a snow angel fairy. She liked to make snow angels, and that is her. And she's a bit frazzled. Yeah, but she's pink and white, and she holds a little angel charm, and her legs bent and her arms bent. But it's best that she stays in her little pocket. And here on this, I have this little locket, which in another page you'll see little pictures of fairies that favorites can be cut out and put inside. This locket does work. And there's little angel wings and a little snowball charm. Here's a blank page for more artwork or notes. Little vintage piece of ledger there, tucked in that spot. And then here I have a little matchbook thing with some of that handmade paper. Oh, am I stuck? There we go. And little papers here, and that just goes in here. It's got a tag in there as well. And then that is a card on the other side, and a little mushroom charm here. Oops. Okay. There we go. And on this side, just a tuck here, and some rice paper decoupage work here. This has handmade paper with this leaf inside, and I just embellished it with some glimmer stuff. Same with this little pocket, a little bag pocket, little handmade tag, a very vintage check, And here's just a piece of ephemera paper here, or journal paper, I should say. And that tag, and then a little slide that I made from this little that picture here. And this is a pin that I made, this little brooch, little fairy one. I hope that comes across in the camera. I think it does. Okay. This is very shiny, and I just saw it as a little pond here, some handmade paper in the background. I placed these wings, I believe Tim Holtz wings, on her. And then a little journal here, just a little booklet, area for a few words. I made this pocket here, this envelope. And this is lined, another Mrs. Coggs quote, and just little pieces of fairy ephemera in there. And that tucks in there. A little window here that can be replaced. This can be taken out and replaced with another one of the pictures. And some blank spots for journaling. Did some rice paper work there. Beautiful fairy image. Gessoed on this book page here. Blank spot. Here's an area that has just a card, a little fashion. I backed it with some coffee dyed or eco dyed paper, I should say. And that just slips down in there. Okay, let's grab that. There we go. And I made this little picture thing. Just some pictures from a magazine that I thought was really cute. Little fairy pictures or elf pictures. That slips in there. This is a flip up, just from a book page, vellum of leaves there. Here's a little booklet, Loving Creatures, and you can open that. Little postcard there on the side, little tag, and a little die cut. Here's those little images that I was speaking of that can be taken in and out and put wherever. I believe some of them or most of them are stickers. Little bingo card, little tag here with some lines in the back, another tag here, just clipped on with more tags, a little booklet. This is some vintage paper from an autograph and some paper there. Gessoed page for easy writing. And then from that, when Emily was meeting all the little fairies, she was invited back to their town. Here's some blank writing. And here's just an image, not an image, I'm sorry. I made this little fairy house here. The door doesn't open, but super cute, maybe writing on the side there. And that was one of the houses. She also saw inside a little house plan for, I'm getting the light, the fairy house here. And there is a little bingo card up there. These are all cut out and embossed, so they're raised. This is the little village with just a little vintage ticket thing tucked inside there. Here is a photograph of a fairy here and just a little embossed tag. Just gets put in there. Lots of Tim Holtz Distress inks used in this as well. A few blank pages, and then the quilt shop. And I used pastels, I believe, no, gelatos on this. And have sealed it the best I could, but little quilting pieces here with a door. There's a little paper here tucked inside here. There's a little charm, a little pocket here, and a little mushroom ephemera. And then here's just another cutout. I did some different distress oxides in the back and some embossing with the new distress glazes from Tim Holtz. Pocket collage there with some just alcohol inks that I used on the tag. Oh, there we go. And this is just a fold over thing that's magnetic. And it's got a little charm here that I made, these little tiles. Little key charm that flips up, little rice paper image there of an elf. And I think I used ASC, has some of the little fairy rice papers on Etsy ASC. And here's just a little envelope with a vintage Dewey Decimal card, a journaling card. Opens up for the vintage postcard, some charms, little sketching. And here is a fairy cottage. It has a little tuck, little tag here. Again, the door doesn't open, but here's like some embossing and different things that I did to represent one of the cottages. Some blank papers for more pictures and journaling. And the last house is a wing repair shop. Made these wings, and I just had so much fun doing that. Lots of glimmer mists and glimmer gilding polish and different things here done to this page. And here ends with this poem with some fairy wings on it. And that is the back, more stitching with some loose threads. This clip, if you take it off the book, and in this pocket, which you will see in the story, is a tiny little journal wrapped up here. And that just goes back inside there in clips. And that is it. That is the monster of a book. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it inspires you to make something in the fairy realm. It was just so much fun making it. It will be available in my Etsy shop later today. And I hope everybody has a safe and happy weekend. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.